Hello, welcome to Custom Profiles and Jamf Now. My name is Eric Annenson. I'm a technical support specialist with Jamf Now, and this session is specifically going to feature Jamf Now and the Custom Profiles feature of Jamf Now Plus accounts. In my role, I handle escalated support cases for Jamf Now, and in this session, we're going to cover a frequent reason that people reach out to Jamf support regarding their Jamf Now webpage. They want their Jamf Now webpage to do something with their devices that involves extending Jamf Now's built-in capabilities. The way Jamf Now is created, Jamf Now does not make use of Apple's full dictionary of options to manage a device out of the box, so to speak. There are some options that are quite advanced or complicated, but if we're willing to dive into a bit more complexity, our Jamf Now can unlock Apple's much wider options. Let's get started looking at what we can do to add to Jamf Now. Here's my agenda. To understand what a custom profile is, I need to define a little bit of what a configuration profile is. There are some requirements to be able to deploy a custom profile. We'll discuss some. There's a wide catalog of configuration profiles that Jamf Now can inherently deploy. In this session, I want to highlight a handful of common and useful profiles that I have seen deployed with custom profile that might make your device management even better. I'll take you to my computer and I'll walk through some tools that we use that what looks like uploading and deploying a custom profile, plus a few troubleshooting tips along the way. First, Apple allows an MDM like Jamf Now to communicate with managed devices in two general ways: with a command or with a profile. All of Jamf Now's commands and profiles are done using methods in Apple's mobile device management protocol. An MDM cannot step outside Apple's rules here. We can't come up with something Apple does not allow us to do. Let's compare these. Commands are one-time instructions to a device to do one thing, such as updating a device's record, installing an app, entering lost mode, erasing, unenrolling, do an update, clearing a passcode. Profiles are files that are installed on a device that change the behavior of the device until that profile is removed. Examples are Wi-Fi network configurations, email account settings, password conventions, restrictions. These all change the behavior of the device until those profiles are lifted off. What Jamf Now calls a custom profile is a configuration profile that was built outside of the Jamf Now webpage. As I mentioned earlier, Jamf Now does not make use of Apple's complete dictionary of profile options with the standard Jamf Now webpage. However, an upgraded Jamf Now Plus account is capable of deploying configuration profiles that were built outside of Jamf Now. Let's look at what we need to build configuration profiles that Jamf Now does not create for us, and we'll look at some of the value they offer. We must do two things to our Jamf Now webpage to be able to deploy configuration profiles with a blueprints custom profiles. First, upgrade your Jamf Now account to Jamf Now Plus. Also, get a tool that allows you to create configuration profiles for Apple devices. The two of which in Jamf Now's documentation that we recommend are Apple's Configurator 2 and iMazing's Profile Editor. I'm going to be demonstrating with iMazing's Profile Editor later. The Jamf Now documentation page for custom profiles have links to both of these, as does the custom profiles section of a blueprint. Here's an important distinction between the two. iMazing is required to make a Mac OS profile. Configurator 2 just does iOS for the moment and tvOS. As another note, some applications you might install could come with the developer-created profiles already made for us that we might need to deploy alongside the installer, and we will use custom profile to do those too. Here's some good examples that I've seen. A web content filter, and you're seeing a screenshot here of iMazing with the web content filter payload. The web content filter payload allows us to set up either a safe list or a block list, restricting web browsing on iOS devices to a list of URLs or blocking devices to a URL. Jamf now is unable to configure Wi-Fi networks that require passwords to join, but we're able to with a custom profile. Many organizations want their users' devices to connect using a VPN, and Jamf now can do that. We can deploy a VPN's configuration profile. Network usage rules allow us to restrict whether an app is able to use cellular data. If we do not want users watching video streaming apps or accessing social media apps while on cellular, this lets us do that. Some Mac apps require a special extension installed, like a kernel extension or system extension. For macOS, we're able to designate Chrome as a default web browser. Another macOS trick, we can disable or hide specific system preferences for our users. Hiding an Apple ID is a common desire. Last one, when we launch some Mac apps, that Mac app will request the user to approve certain privacy access requests, such as access to accessibility, camera, or location. Here's another tool that Jamf built called the PPSC Utility. The requests specifically are called Privacy Preferences Policy Control. Now, that's a mouthful, but we can make that pre-approve, allowing or denying access to those apps. All right, we're going to dig into this. I have a Mac set up. We're going to demonstrate what it looks like to upload into Jamf now and a tour of iMazing's profile editor. There we go. Here's my Mac setup over here on the left. I've already signed into my Jamf now. First thing we're going to check. In the lower left, I want to be sure our account is Jamf Now Plus. When you click on your account, you'll see I'm already upgraded, but if you then select Account one more time, you'll see the option under Summary for your plan, and you can then upgrade there to Jamf Now Plus. And we need that. I'm already upgraded. Let's look at some of our devices. I've got some prepared for this. We're going to be working with this Mac. That's this Mac I'm on right now, and an iPad I've already plugged in. And you'll see I've already got it connected, and we're going to show what it looks like when profiles end up getting deployed. A first tip, if you've got Macs, you're going to want to have profiles, separate profiles for Catalina and older Macs, and those for Big Sur and newer, because of some differences in certain profiles. It'll make life easier for deploying. First thing, we're going to dig into iPad. You'll see on my far right side, I have already pre-built some profiles with iMazing. Now, I've already got some profiles installed. If I go look on my iPad, you'll see they're already here on my device. As I scroll down, my blueprint, don't have any web clips, security is set to passcode, and there's a password policy applied there. Email, not set up. Wi-Fi is set up, and it shows there. There's no restrictions. The rest of these aren't applied. And under the custom profiles section, they're the ones already on my device. I'm going to take them off. You'll see them disappear off the iPad in moments. And here's what it looks like when we need to add one. On the bottom are the two shortcuts to getting Configurator and iMazing. And I'm going to do this first. We're going to give a tour of iMazing right now. I have already downloaded iMazing. My installer is up in the lower corner. I've already installed it. You see in my dock, iMazing. Let's open it. So a tour of iMazing here. First thing to go off is, on the sidebar of iMazing are all the payload options. And as you already saw me scroll, there are many. We're not going to go through all of them. We can't. First thing, under the general payload, you will need to name it. It cannot be empty. You can save this, but uploading an unnamed profile will end up causing an error. Across the top of iMazing are platform options, and as I choose one, notice the payloads update as I choose them. Another tip, if you select them by accident and leave them selected, you may be missing payloads you're looking for and wondering where they are. You may have some inadvertent payload options chosen. Another tip, iMazing search. Very useful. You can do a search and it will filter some choices for you based on what you type. Very, very useful. Now, I've already made some, but as you explore and start adding, the payloads will show up under general. And if I add more payloads, they all get added to my configuration profile. My last tip, do not have more than one payload per profile. It'll make troubleshooting in Jamf now vastly easier. Now, I've already built some, as I mentioned. I've got an iOS web content filter. Let's add that back. In my add profile, click that, just drag it in. I'm going to add all of these that I have. One of them is badly built. I'm going to show you what the errors look like. I've got a network usage filter. Add that in here. Add that. And my incomplete VPN. I want to show you what some errors end up looking like. Jamf lets us upload it. Nothing bad here, but the errors come later when we try and install it. If I select my device, let's go look at this iPad. Red dot, this may not be fully bad yet. Says some are not applied in this configuration profiles tile. If I click more, at the moment, not applied. This is not bad. It just means not installed. And we just saw them show up. If you saw them blink in, let's close this and see if we can get this to sync and check it again. Because when you go and look at it again, we now have errors with my incompletely built VPN. And the errors are a lot of gibberish. There's a lot of stuff missing. I did not build this completely. Jamf doesn't know this when it uploaded. So the device is telling me, I can't do this. It's got bad stuff. How do we know what's bad? Well, we can go back to our profile and drag it onto iMazing's icon. There we go. And look at our payload. And I did not completely build this, but it shows an error right away. Got to do something. All right. Close that. Look at the other ones I've got. My network usage rule. Here's something I want to show off because this is a great profile. In the network usage rules payload, this application network usage rules applies to managed apps. Jamf must be deploying the app. I can't just type the name for an app. This needs a bundle ID. How do we find bundle IDs? Great tool I found. There's a web page called the Bundle ID Finder. Now, in my handout for this session, I've got the link for this, but you can Google this. Now, I want to add more apps to my usage rules, such as, oh, how about YouTube? Search for this. There's the bundle ID I need. So, come back. How about TV, Apple's TV app? we select that, copy, in my payload, when I go to add it, put in the bundle ID, uncheck what we don't want, save that. Now when I go upload that new, go back and configure my profile, take the old one, put in that new one, when we see this get updated, we can check our devices. Let's bring this to the front, show you what the profiles might look like. Under restrictions, you'll see there's the web content filter. If I go back, under more details, network usage rules are there, and it shows me all of what's being blocked. All right, let's go to the Mac next. Dismiss that for now. For the Macs, got my blueprint already built. As I go through my blueprint, I've got web clips, security doing file vault, no email. I've got Wi-Fi, no restrictions. If I go to custom profiles, I got to add some. I've got some built. Now, when you explore web content filter in iMazing, you're going to notice that it gives you the option to make a Mac OS web content filter. Jamf cannot deploy this. It does not install. I've already built one. I've got some misconfigured Wi-Fi. I'm going to show you what it looks like to upload some other ones. I'm going to add them all here. Bring in the Mac OS attempt at a content filter. In my Mac system preferences, in the profiles preference, and we see the profiles Jamf has already put on here. Web clip, Wi-Fi, file vault, already on here. When Jamf deploys a custom profile to a Mac, it only deploys as device-based. It will not deploy as user-based. This matters. If you need to deploy a custom profile in the user-based, Jamf now cannot install it. Jamf now only deploys custom profiles as device-based. Let's add more of these. My misconfigured password Wi-Fi. All right, next, I'm going to show you what it looks like to try and disable a system preference. Apple ID lets me sign in right now. Well, let's show what it looks like. Let's upload. Here we go. This is a badly named, and this one I did not name under the general payload. Jamf now doesn't let you do it. You got to name it. So here it's correctly named. Add that profile. Now, when I say this was badly named, show you in Amazing what I meant. Here we go. Under General, name wasn't there. I saved it. Let me do it. But it must have the name for Jamf now to deploy it. Let's close all that down. Get out of my way. Okay. Last one that's useful to demonstrate, the PPPC. Now, I've already installed this PPPC utility. I have it in my tab here. If you do a Google search for PPPC utility, you'll come to our GitHub page where we've got the installer for PPPC utility. I've already installed it. It's on my dock. Here's the app. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to show you what it looks like to build a profile with PPPC utility. I'm going to take you to our app, and I'm going to take you to iMazing. iMazing can do this. However, it's complicated. If I go find that payload down that long list for privacy preferences, policy control, and I add it, if I look, the options are ridiculously complex. Every privacy option is listed here. When I go to add one, I must know the identifier. this gets tedious. So let's not do it this way. Instead, with PPSC Utility, what I need to do, I get my application. I've already installed it. Necessary. Install, here's Zoom. Drag the app to the sidebar. Now, in the middle, I can pre-select the accessibility options. Or maybe deny some. Now, here's a useful tip regarding screen recording apps like Zoom. Things like camera, I can't allow. Microphone, I can't allow that. Apple requires the user to approve those. However, for screen recording, I have an option for Big Sur Macs. If your Macs have users signed in as a standard user, it requires an admin to approve screen recording if the Mac is older than Big Sur. With Big Sur, I have the option to allow a standard user to grant Zoom or WebEx or Microsoft Teams access to share their screen. If I choose this option, it warns me. This is Big Sur only. Another good reason to have that separate blueprint for Big Sur. Now, I've already built this. I'm going to close this. Already built. I'm going to add my Zoom profile. All right, so we will see the Apple ID get applied when we come back in and out. If I look again, you will see, well, let's close my preferences, come back. It did get applied, can take refreshing system preferences. There's my Apple ID disabled. If I look under profiles, you're going to see my Zoom, what it's allowing, the Apple ID, what it's shutting down, my bad Wi-Fi. What I mean by it's bad, that I didn't put the correct password in. Jamf does not know if a password is correct. You'll have to test some of these. If I look in my device record for my Mac, all right, I've got some errors. Well, there it is. The Mac OS Web Content Filter. It was correctly built. It just can't do it. So don't try it. Just do not apply it. Go back, take it out, and everything else is good. If I look at my Mac again, as soon as it's gone, it'll be gone. It'll all say applied once my Mac's record updates. Does my preferences show it gone? Yeah. As soon as it is. It'll take its syncing time. But that's it. All right. Thank you for attending this session. We covered how Jamf Now's custom profiles option allows us to extend more management capability to our devices beyond the standard Jamf Now. We broke down the difference between commands and profiles. We had a fast tour of iMazing for creating macOS and iOS profile payloads. We finished up demonstrating a tool called PPSC Utility to make creating PPC payloads even easier. I hope you enjoy the rest of JNUC 21. Goodbye.